What's up YouTube? This is LDS Reliance. Today I'm going to do a video and show you how to build this little bench. This is called a back to school bench because it's got these shelves for shoes or books or whatever, but it's also a very sturdy, very nice looking bench. So let's go ahead and go step by step and learn how to build this thing. Okay, as far as materials goes, this is it. All we need is $15 worth of wood. We have a 2x12 by 8. Alright, the first cut that I'm going to make, I'm going to take the 2x8 and I've measured and marked 38.5 inches. So we're going to cut two of these pieces that are 38.5. And I'm going to use, since my chop saw, my miter saw doesn't cut 8 inches worth, I'm going to use a skill saw, just circular saw, and I've clamped down a straight edge so that I can get it exactly square. So anyway, again, we need two 38.5 inch pieces out of the 2x8. Okay, next we're going to take this 2x8, the piece that was left over from the two previous cuts. We're going to come over to our table saw and we're going to set the fence for 2.5 inches, and then we're going to rip two pieces that are 2.5 inches wide from this leftover piece here. Okay, next we're going to move on to our 2x12, and I've got it measured and clamped on here. We're going to cut three pieces that are 16 inches long. After cutting our 16-inch pieces, now the 2x12 is a more manageable piece to work with. So I'm going to move over to the table saw, set my fence to 15 inches, and I'm going to cut two 15-inch pieces out of what's left over. Okay, I just apologize, there is actually a third 15-inch piece that we need to cut on the table saw, and that is actually then going to be cut lengthwise after we cut it. After we cut it 15 inches this way, we're going to cut it widthwise, I guess you would say. So let's get this cut down to 15 inch, and then we're going to cut 3.5 inch wide strips out of that 15 inch piece. Again, on the table saw, we'll just rip them. Finally, the last step we need to do, the last cutting we will do, is take those first two 15 inch long pieces that we made, they're 15 inches long this way, and we're going to cut them so that they're 9.25 inches wide. So set your table saw fence to 9.25 and then just rip them lengthwise. Okay, for the first step of the assembly process, we're going to take our three 16-inch pieces that we cut out of the 2x12. We're going to put some pocket holes on one side, so there's going to be two pocket holes there, two pocket holes there, and so on. And then on the bottom of the leg, we're going to cut a half-moon shape out with a jigsaw or bandsaw or whatever you have available. Now that's just a decoration. You don't have to do that, it's optional. Next we've got the 3.5 inch by 15 inch pieces. These are going to be the seat supports, and we're going to put pocket holes on both sides. We're going to put two here and two here, and then do the same for the other one. Alright, now that we've got those pieces cut and have the pocket holes drilled, we're going to lay them out like this so that the seat supports have the pocket holes facing upward, and put them in the middle of two of the feet, and then we're going to put some wood glue in between, and then use 2.5 inch pocket holes to fasten these down. Alright, now we're going to take these 2.5 inch wide pieces that we ripped, and we're going to put pocket holes, again, two on each side, but this time we have to make sure that they're not going to hit each other. So you're going to have to space one side a little bit farther out and one side a little bit farther in, so that when these are put like this, you're not going to hit them. They're not going to have screws going in to try to go into the same place. Then at the very end, we need one vertical hole in the middle. So you clamp it this direction and then drill a hole in that way. Just one on each side. Okay, now we're going to take the 15-inch long pieces. There's 2 of those left, and we're going to do the same thing with pocket holes here. We're going to stagger them a little bit. We're going to bring one in, you know, say 1 3/4 inch, and then on the opposite side, maybe 1 inch from the end. Just again, so we don't have 2 screws fighting for the same space. So do that on both of these 2 15-inch pieces. Okay, now we're going to put the shelf supports down here, like you see here, right in the middle, and you can mark a line right in the middle to help you line this up. And then it needs to be 2.5 inches from the bottom, the very bottom. And then you're going to glue in between the joint, and then use 2.5-inch pocket hole screws to attach it together. Okay, now we're going to install the shelves on the shelf support, and so we're going to put both of the shelf pieces up against the supports like you see here. They're going to be 1 inch from the edges on each side. And notice the pocket hole orientation. On one side I have the innermost pocket holes down and the outer ones up, and then on the other one I have it flipped, so the outermost ones are on the bottom and the innermost ones are on the top. And we're just going to glue along the edge here, pocket hole, and then there, remember this vertical one, we're going to put a pocket hole screw in there too. Okay, next we want to take one of the ones that we just screwed together. We've got 2 of those, flip one of them over and attach it to the remaining leg. And again, 1 inch from the sides, and make it flush on the top there. Okay, and the last part for this leg assembly is we take the last remaining piece, we put it like this with the other sub-assembly that we've created, put glue on those surfaces, and then pocket hole into that. Again, making sure that the top is flush, want 1 inch gap here, and so forth, just like the other side. Okay, one last decorative touch. I know I told you that we were done cutting, but I'm going to do one more decorative touch here. These, here we've got the assembly here, the seat assembly, and then we're going to, these are going to be the benches, and on the corners I'm going to cut off kind of like a 1 inch little triangle, and let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So if this is 1/2 of the bench seat, I'm going to cut 1 inch off, a little triangle off the corner, lay the other one up here, and then cut a corner off those 2 sides. So you don't want to cut it off all 4 sides on the same board, just 2 on this one and then 2 on the other one. And then once we're done with that, we'll glue it and screw it in using the pocket holes from below. Okay, this is the last step. Now that we got those little decorative corners cut off, lay your seat slats face down, put the sub-assembly on top, and make sure everything's even. I think it's going to be about 2 inches from the side here and about 1 5/8 or so here. And then glue this down on all the surfaces that are going to come in contact, and then use the pocket hole, these pocket holes, to drill down into it. Okay, and here's what it looks like when it's done. I've gone ahead and sanded it down, sand down all the edges, make sure that your kids aren't going to get splinters or whatever. And I think it turned out pretty good. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys.